Hey, it's Andrew Downs. I'm proud to support Three Beards Media, and I would love to work with you. If you need merchandise for your company, organization, band, softball team, whatever, I can help. From name brand apparel to promotional items, large orders or small, online stores, and more, I can help your brand stand out. AKC Marketing is local, based in Johnston, and we are an employee-owned business, so our costs are low and our turnaround times are fast. But most importantly, we give you personal service to make sure you get exactly what you're looking for. Email me at andrew@akcmarketing.com or find me on social media, and let's make some cool stuff together. Now sit back and enjoy this Three Beards Media podcast.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome into another week of Hawks Eye View, and transfer portal season continues on. Drew, a lot of big things happening that we can all talk about here in a minute. I think the biggest news everybody knows by now, Beau Pribula came to campus. That's Iowa's main quarterback target. But yeah, it's been a big week for the Iowa Hawkeyes. But we were talking a little bit beforehand. It's been a big week for Drew Shipley. I kind of want to break the Drew Shipley news if there's any to break here live on the air. Breaking news.
I mean, it's not necessarily breaking news, but I had a day today.
Okay.
Actually, I had a day for like 2.5 days.
Oh, boy.
Had a colonoscopy this morning.
The what now?
Yeah. And an endoscopy. So they went through both ends. They went through my mouth and my butthole. And I got to tell you, I wish I had my medical record. You should see these pictures they take these days. Like my colon is like A grade, like on point, good to go. Good to go for another decade.
I don't know what to say describing your colon as A grade. I never thought this podcast would come to
listen, there's been a lot of things happening from the transfer portal in my body in the last day and a half. And you know what? They're not a lot of 4 or 5 stars coming out. And I finally got to eat some real food for the first time. And since what was it? About 6 p.m. Tuesday night. After that, it was all liquid. So that was pretty brutal. The prep medicine is actually most people talk about the prep medicine and they say it tastes like shit, and by and large it does. And they say that it's the worst part of the whole thing. I would have to disagree with that, just in my personal opinion. I mixed it with Propel last night, so that it actually comes in 2 doses of 32 ounces, and you got to drink 8 ounces every 15 minutes and finish it in an hour each time.
Yeah.
So we started it at 6:00 last night, finished at 7. Got to take some other prescriptions along with it, whatever. Had to do that twice. The first one was with Propel. The second one was with lemon vitamin water. The taste was whatever. The taste was what it was. It wasn't terrible. It is the raw bunghole that you end up with at the end of the day that is very uncomfortable, and you end up so dehydrated it's really hard to piss. So once they actually hooked me up to the IV this morning, I was a new man. And I tell you what, man, anesthesia, freaking awesome. They put the oxygen on my face. They put this little thing in my mouth because that's how they put the scope down your throat is to keep your mouth from moving, I guess. They turn you on the side, and then they through your IV, they pump in the anesthesia and 2 deep breaths, and it was 99, and it was the best 25-minute nap I've ever taken in my life. It was wonderful.
I'm sure.
And then my wife took me to Olive Garden. You know, that's what I wanted.
Oh boy, this podcast is taking a turn that I didn't think it would take.
Now I'm drinking a Moscow Mule.
Okay,
Cranberry Moscow Mule, and I know it's not a copper cup, but our property put on a holiday event today downstairs, and they were serving up fresh pasta, and beverages and whatnot, and have a sweater party and all kinds of shit here in the building, which is pretty cool. Then I would say second most important news. This is the last podcast partially originating from the state of Maryland, right? Because we're not doing one next week.
Yeah.
I mean, I assume we're not doing one over Christmas.
Yeah, we're gonna take our Christmas time off.
This is it, baby. Heading to Kansas City.
This is it. All right.
Pour one out for the DMV.
Yeah, I guess if we don't do one next week, we won't get maybe we can talk a little bowl game here.
See, you can see that packing has started because Caitlin Clark is no longer above me. It's been
right, exactly. The wall's looking pretty bare.
Yeah, and that's okay. That means we're making progress.
That's okay. Yeah, you talk about colonoscopies. Man, oh my gosh. I actually had to go through that when I was in middle school.
What?
So when I was in the 8th grade, I started having some internal intestinal problems.
Yeah.
They found out that I had like a rare disease that was like a childhood thing where it formed like colon polyps inside of me. And basically my small intestine went inside of my large bowel, and then a colon polyp formed around that, which if that happens, you can't eat or drink anything. And you're completely emptied out, and nobody could figure out what was going on. So, yeah, they ended up having they ended up taking care of that problem, but then I had to come back and follow up with a colonoscopy to make sure that everything was actually taken care of. As a 12-year-old having to have a colonoscopy, that's pretty rare.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no doubt.
My family thought it was a good idea to take me out to, it was called the Five and Diner. It's the Pleasant Hill Diner on the way.
Oh, yeah. I know.
They thought it was a great idea to take me out just after the procedure had happened to take me there.
Yeah.
They did. What they didn't account for was the fact that I was still high on my anesthesia and my inhibitions were completely non-existent. So I ended up telling the waitress all about what happened with my butthole today. So some poor waitress at the Five and Diner about 24 years ago got a great story.
I mean, I can't think of a better setting to talk about your butthole than at a restaurant, you know?
I mean, she was probably not expecting that on her day in. I don't know if that made her day worse or better.
Chris Shipley, if you're listening, you can invite us on Old Man Strength anytime. I feel like this applies.
It really does. Except for I had to have old man strength at 12. Also, as a result of that surgery, I got quite a considerable amount of time off from school and ended up laying up in the hospital at the perfect time, March.
Oh,
March Madness, baby. And
just
that is why
keep on bringing the chicken noodle soup, baby. Let's go.
And every year after that, I either skip school or have the days off work to watch March Madness.
Listen, guys, it's butthole season. You know what I mean?
I'm just saying. That's probably where my love of March Madness really took off.
Yeah.
So
March Madness in and around the butthole.
Yeah, crazy.
No,
crazy.
That's excellent.
So we both have stories.
It's great. It's great.
Yeah.
I love starting out the Hawk's Eye View podcast with this. This is wonderful.
I don't know.
I mean, if we don't win an award this year, I'm going to be upset.
What do we have to do? We have to talk real soft in a microphone like this.
I don't know. I mean,
did you hear that podcast that beat out Old Man Strength? Like they talk
No.
like the church lady.
I didn't listen to any of the other competing
No,
nominees.
They talk like the lady from Sweaty Balls. The Sweaty Balls sketch on SNL.
It's funny that you say that because I've been watching old episodes of SNL this evening. The last one actually was Jimmy Fallon and Justin Timberlake from 2014, so that was pretty sweet.
Oh, there you go.
No.
There you go. Yeah, apparently we'll get our awards. I guess we just got to keep talking about our buttholes, and maybe we'll find our way to the top of the charts.
To the top, baby.
Anyways, let's move on from buttholes. I don't even know how to segue the conversation out of that. Transfer portal, Palooza, it's fun. It's frustrating. It's everything in between. You probably don't have as unhealthy of an obsession as I would do, I would say.
I've been pretty unhealthy, period, with my own stuff for the last few days. So, I mean, I followed what you've sent me. I've seen some rumblings of Pribula visiting Iowa City this afternoon. There was a corner coming to campus as well from a D3 school.
Yeah,
that's highly sought after. That was All American, right?
6'3" corner, which is huge for a corner, by the way.
Oh yeah, no kidding.
But everything about him, if he ends up choosing Iowa, screams cash position. Nice hybrid in between defensive back, linebacker.
Okay.
Hybrid at 6'3". Bethel is a great program at the D3 level. I don't know if people know the history there or follow D3 football.
I'm familiar with Bethel, yeah.
Yeah, they're always in it near the end of the playoffs every year, basically. So it's a great program. He's from Wisconsin, so he's looking at Wisconsin, Iowa State, a few others. So it's not like Iowa's the only power conference school in on him. But Iowa makes some logical sense, and he's friends with our long snapper, apparently.
I mean,
so yeah, there's a connection there, so that helps.
I mean, yeah, relationships definitely still matter in 2024, no doubt.
Yeah.
NIL will play a little factor. I don't know what he would be going for if anything, coming from a D3 school. Maybe he would just be happy to get a Division I scholarship and call it a day. I don't know. But I mean, like you said, there are some Power 4 competition for his services. So, I mean, look at the defensive back history in the last decade plus. So I mean, if you're wanting to play on Sundays, I feel like it's a no-brainer decision, and that's not just a homer comment. I think that's a proven fact.
Well,
if that's a priority of yours, that Iowa's the way to go.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about this before on the show. The cash position, especially, look at the guys who have come through. I mean, Amani Hooker, Geno Stone, both those guys are.
Geno Stone made some big plays last weekend.
Yeah, Dane Belton is around in the league and playing
well. They're all starting. I don't know if Amani Hooker is or not, but
I'm not sure. I think he is.
I seen him on the bench celebrating a turnover at one point last weekend.
Okay,
so he's still around.
Yeah, but that's kind of my point. Is everybody who plays cash usually gets a shot at the league or is playing in the league in some defensive backfield, or Geno Stone's case, you're getting a big contract. I mean, it's a good position to play. So if Iowa sees him as cash, tries to sell him as a cash, I think that's a pretty strong selling point there.
Yeah.
Not a guarantee he's going to be a Hawkeye, but we have a lot to sell.
Is there a time frame that folks are chatting like?
Yeah, I can't remember exactly when it is. I think the 21st here. So everybody's really hustling to get everybody in for visits and stuff on the
Because it
21st.
closes on the 27th, if I remember right. Is that right?
What?
The portal closes on the 27th?
Yeah, but there's a no contact period starting on the 21st, I think.
Oh, so the decision's got to be made in that 5-6 day period?
No, decisions don't necessarily have to be made. It's teams can't really contact guys at a certain point after December 21.
I mean, is college football going to fix this shit though? With like between the college football playoff and the transfer portal window, I understand. One, the college football playoff is its own entity. It's not even like NCAA, right? And then you have the academic schedule, NCAA eligibility, shit like that. I mean, Pribula is one of those prime examples that we've heard about. He didn't necessarily want to leave Penn State, but he quote said he didn't have much of a choice.
Yeah, because he wants to start somewhere else.
Because Drew Hour's coming back to Penn State, right? So
yeah, if he wants to start somewhere else, most teams are evaluating their starting positions via the transfer portal now, and so he has no choice.
Now, there are folks out there, head coaches, Kenny Dillingham, for example, is letting those players that are going into the transfer portal explore that and still play. I don't know if you've seen that.
A lot of
pretty unique, and pretty unique, and I think that's a good decision personally. I mean, you're doing right by the student athlete. They know, that their time's coming up and looking for other opportunities. And I think some of those coaches respect that. And doing right by the athlete. And I think that's pretty commendable, if I'm being honest. I think Dillingham's doing it right. I like that approach. Now, I don't know how much that pays off necessarily on the football field during the college football playoff, because most of these people are transferring for a reason. It's because they're not playing, right?
Right.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, are they really doing anybody a favor other than, enjoying the ride per se, quote, which, I mean, I feel like they earned that, right? They've been there in spring camp. They went through the fall season, regular season, conference championship games. Now they're in the dance, but they just don't see the playing time next year. I think they deserve to finish out the athletic year with their teammates,
Yeah.
I just think it's the right thing to do. But I don't know if there's an answer long-term to prevent this from happening during the college football playoff.
Yeah. I mean,
in tow with the academic year. Can we not start the academic year until, I don't know, the third week in January? I think the University of Iowa goes back really late after Christmas break, which is kind of an oddity across the college landscape. But I know they go back super late.
Yeah, they do. They do.
If you get that across the board where they don't go back till the 20th or something like that, where you can have that transfer window from, I don't know, the 3rd to the 14th or something like that. And granted, even the 3rd to the 14th is still going to be semifinals and finals for the CFP.
Yeah, I don't know if I like there being this idea of 2 transfer windows.
That's the whole thing too, is I don't get that. It was so why don't we just wait to transfer after the college football playoff? Well, then they want to be enrolled in the spring semester so they can be part of spring ball, which I get that too, because you know how much Kirk Ferentz values folks in the program in the spring before.
Yeah, that's true.
So specifically to the University of Iowa, it means a lot. I can't speak to the rest of the universities, and maybe some of them don't care if you're a quality athlete that's highly sought after. Maybe you don't care that they don't come till late June. I don't know, but
it's more of a matter of integrating guys into your scheme.
For sure.
If spring ball is so valuable for that, so yeah, I guess I get it. I don't know what the solution is. But yeah, let's talk about Beau Pribula specifically. Everything I've heard, this is Tim Lester's guy. This is what Tim Lester believes is the perfect fit for his offense. Wants this guy. Brad Heinrichs is essentially said, I'm going to do everything in my power to make it happen. It's not a guarantee it's going to happen because I just saw that Pribula is going to visit Ole Miss this weekend after going to Indiana. He's at UCF right now. He was in Iowa yesterday. He's been to Missouri. He's running the whole gamut of visits here.
I mean, if he's continuing all those visits, I find it hard to believe that Iowa's going to end up being the choice. Ole Miss, Indiana.
Well, I thought that, but then kind of read about the kid, Penn State people. It seems like he's the kind of guy who isn't one to rush into things. I think that's okay because you see a lot of times in these transfer situations, guys take one visit and immediately commit. And they get caught up in the hype, and then maybe they regret it and end up back in the transfer portal.
Oh, you mean like
yeah.
What's his nuts?
Exactly. Perfect example.
That's what we will refer to him as from here on out is what's his nuts.
Yeah. So I get he didn't commit on the visit thing, but I don't think that's this situation. Every situation is a little bit different. It sounds like he is going to take all of his visits during this period when he can contact all these schools, wait, and then make a decision in like January. Like it could drag on for another week or two. Right. So that's fine because you'd rather have someone be more sure about where they're going. So whoever he picks next, I think he's going to be very sure about where he's going because he's going to see all of his options and then sit down and say, well, what's my best option for my future? I like that approach personally. If he doesn't pick Iowa, that's fine. I would like for him to pick Iowa, but I think this kid's taking the right approach to it.
The thing about that approach is it kind of leaves Brendan Sullivan out to dry. In my opinion, right? Because then, allegedly he's a Tim Lester guy, right? He's the reason why he came to Iowa City. He's the presumptive starter otherwise. So, I mean, he's gonna wait it out until January and then, he's coming to Iowa City. So now he's got to wait until the spring frickin' transfer window for Brendan Sullivan to go out?
I mean, Brendan Sullivan knows that Iowa – I don't think it's been a secret that Iowa's wanted to bring in somebody that can compete with him for the starting job next year.
And that's the way that you got to tell Brendan Sullivan that, right?
Yeah, they did.
There's going to be a competition. Although, like, in the back room, they were like, we really want this guy. We know he's going to be our starter, but we got to tell him so he don't leave, right? Because if he doesn't come, then what the fuck, then you might be out both guys. And then it's the quarterback room is Jackson Stratton and Hank Brown. So,
yeah. Well, no, I know that Iowa's going to evaluate other options because I see that Tyler Barnes gave Preston Stone a follow today on Twitter.
So now remind everybody who Preston Stone is.
Quarterback at SMU has 1 year of eligibility left, got replaced by Jennings, who is the current SMU quarterback. But for the past 3 years was the starter at SMU, but got replaced by a guy who's maybe just a little bit more mobile and a little bit more accurate. Probably more mobile. Preston Stone's not immobile by any stretch of the imagination. He is very much mobile. Struggled a little bit on the deep passes, but threw a ton of deep passes at SMU because that's what the SMU offense calls for. So, but by all accounts, good leader after getting benched, stuck with the team, didn't quit on the team, and is still staying with the team through the playoffs, but is exploring his transfer options. So
you're saying that? So you're saying SMU is letting him enjoy the ride like Kenny Dillingham is at ASU?
Yep. SMU is doing the same thing that Kenny Dillingham is. I think that's going to be more common.
Isn't Kenny Dillingham the coach of the year?
He's up there.
Across the entire country. He has to be.
He's up there. I mean, Signetti, probably another guy.
True.
Maybe if you want to throw Rhett Lashley, I mean, I'm talking teams that are in the playoffs with little-known coaches that seemingly came out of nowhere. But probably a Dillingham Signetti. Probably Signetti, though. 11-1 is pretty dang good.
It might be, but then you also have to look at like the expectations, right? So like I don't know where like the media and the pundits picked Indiana in the pecking order of the Big Ten.
Bottoms.
But I was gonna say the media and the pundits and the Big 12 picked Arizona State to be absolute dead last.
Yeah, Indiana was probably down around there too.
Okay.
I mean, maybe not dead last, but they were down around there.
I mean, devil's advocate, Dillingham won the Big 12 championship. Indiana didn't make it, despite the record.
Yeah, but look who's in the Big Ten, man. It's a loaded conference. Loaded.
I get it, but the one game that counted, they got throttled.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens this weekend. I like Indiana in their game against Notre Dame. I love their matchup.
The state of Indiana does as well. Our friend Keith Murphy shared a graphic of what states are rooting for what team in the college football playoff. Funny enough, Iowa is allegedly Boise State. Going for the Broncos, I guess. And Illinois and Indiana both taking IU over Notre Dame. I found that really interesting.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
The only state in the entire country that's taken SMU, Oklahoma. I take that back. Not Oklahoma, not the only one. It's Oklahoma, Mississippi, Alabama. Excuse me.
My full weight is behind the Hoosiers. Give me Indiana football. Let's go.
Listen, they're a great story. I think there's a fine line between arrogance and charm when it comes to Signetti, and he's walking it with me personally.
Oh,
I like you carry the swagger if you back it up. Now it's time to back it up. You got to beat Notre Dame and in touchdown Jesus land. You got to beat them.
Let's do it. I think they can.
I'd be thrilled. I think they can too, actually.
I mean, if Northern Illinois can walk in there and beat Notre Dame, I have some confidence in Indiana.
And that's why I thought Army had a freaking fighting shot. And then they lost that game. Then we turned around and lost to Navy last week. So I'm a little bitter about that still.
Yeah, me too. I would rather have Notre Dame not be in the competition. Sorry, Sean Roberts. Yeah, that's the bulk of where things are at transfer portal wise. I see that Iowa's getting a visit lined up with a Chattanooga wide receiver for this weekend, Sam Phillips. So they want him to come in. They're definitely looking for at least one receiver in the transfer portal. So I think they're going to come away with one receiver. The other big recruit is Ethan Oninawa from Rice, 6'6", 345-pound offensive tackle.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
That's a big boy.
That is a big boy. Yeah.
He had kind of been pursued by Ohio State and Oregon, but they ended up getting transfer commits from other offensive tackles. So he's kind of fallen off their radar. Texas A&M has him down there for a visit, but it sounds like if one of their offensive tackles who's currently on the team decides to come back instead of declaring, they may not be in the market for an offensive tackle at all. So, but it really sounds like it's down to Iowa and A&M may not be able to guarantee a starting spot like Iowa can.
Okay.
But along with that, if we don't land an offensive tackle, I think it's more of a want for the staff at this point. Sounds like they're going to switch Dunker. Sounds like Dunker will switch to left tackle if we don't land a left tackle that we like. Or maybe we don't land a left tackle that we like and we get a right tackle that we like and we switch Dunker anyways. and find a guy that can play right tackle or hand it off to Trevor Lauk, who was in the same class as Caden Proctor. That was kind of a 4-star that the coaching staff really likes. He will have to step in at either left or right tackle probably if we don't.
You mean what's his nuts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I meant what's his nuts. I said his actual name.
Yeah.
My bad. My bad. So that's on me. Yeah.
I'll allow it. I'm in a good mood post colonoscopy. Okay, I'm in a great mood.
Oh my gosh. But I really hope we get this Rice kid on campus because I think that would elevate the offensive line, which would be a huge boost to have Dunker and Jones back, and then bring in a transfer that you really like as well. I think that'd be. I don't think there'd be a lot of drop off in the offensive line play then, because I like Beau Stevens is back. And then Cade Pieper, who came in on the goal line scenarios, and he can play the other guard spot. So you begin to have kind of a semblance of a still veteran offensive line and one that's talented too if you bring in this kid from Rice.
Yeah.
So I like that. It'll be critical to the run game.
For
and
sure.
Then, hopefully you can find a receiver that fits in well, kind of like Jacob Gill did. We weren't touting Jacob Gill as a high-level wide receiver recruit, and he ended up being our best wide receiver.
For sure.
So hopefully you find a guy like that, and I think that's kind of who Iowa's going to have to go after in the transfer portal until they prove that they can pass the ball.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to be part of the emphasis for next year, and I think we're going to see better success with that next year for the Iowa Hawkeyes.
I just have a hard time getting my hopes up about a transfer wide receiver anymore. I mean, we've seen it time and time again of like just disappointment.
Right.
Caleb Brown, Oliver Martin. Then we had Tyrone Tracy and Charlie Jones walk away from the program, and then they end up becoming they were definitely all Big Ten honors, but weren't they like second, third team All-Americans eventually? Charlie Jones was kick return or punt returner. Tyrone Tracy, I think, was maybe honorable mention.
Yeah, they were.
It's frustrating to see, and we knew those guys were talented, right? It's just frustrating to see that you can't give those people the ball time in and time out.
It's a new dawn in that regard, but Iowa has to prove it. Prove it, and then we'll see maybe guys that want to come play wide receiver at Iowa because Tim Lester has shown them the way of this is what I can do for a wide receiver because he's proven in the past. I mean, we talked about it when he got hired. Sky Moore, Jaden Reed, Dwayne Eskridge, 3 guys who all got NFL looks.
Yep.
One of who's still playing in the NFL and doing well. So Lester has to get a guy that's maybe under the radar that he can kind of mold into that, and then it'll come. So, but I think we're going to see, like we talked about last season a couple of times, Tim Lester got hired late. We got Brendan Sullivan late. So even if we don't get a quarterback that can compete with Brendan Sullivan and Sullivan's the starter from day one, I'm okay with that, right? I mean, I think it's still better than where we started last season. And it's another year of Tim Lester getting his stuff in, and I think the offense is going to be in an even better spot.
See, it's better than we started last season because we know what happened. Did we not think Cade McNamara was going to come back? He was going to be healthy, and we are going to have a shot at 10 wins and a trip to Indy. So hindsight's 2020, right? But we could say that confidently now that, of course, it's a better situation. We have a returning starter that's a mobile guy, fits the Tim Lester offense like he wants. That's why he brought him. I thought there was a lot of optimism that Cade was coming in healthy.
Yeah.
And that was the difference, and that's why he sucked last year, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that being said, whatever. But yeah, you got a guy, an incumbent that's been in the system for a year. Only going to get better, only going to get stronger, better playbook, recognition, stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, I don't think quarterback is a dire gotta have it type situation.
No, but you want
a nice to have and an improvement and competition in the quarterback room, absolutely.
Yeah, and clearly they're going. I mean, I just think that they're trying to give Tim Lester what he wants, right? Tim Lester says, "I want Beau Pribula," and Iowa's trying to get him. So yep. I like that because it's yet another sign of Tim Lester's in full control of the offense. We're trying to do everything that Tim Lester wants to do on offense, and as long as that is what we're doing, I'm confident that the offense will continue to improve. I mean, we average 28 points per game, Drew, with no passing game to speak of. If we can just find an average passing game,
right,
we're gonna go north of 30 points next year. We're gonna do it.
Yep, for sure.
So, and we need to, because if you've looked at the schedule, like we talked about, we're gonna need at least 30 points per game to win games.
For sure.
So, yep. So that's where I'm at. Let's go ahead and hear from our sponsors, and we'll come back and we'll talk hoops for both basketball teams.
Making great tasting bourbon requires the perfect combination of ingredients, conditions, and time. The longer it rests, the better it tastes. Revelton Distillery's new single barrel bourbon is made from 80% corn, sourced 100% from Iowa farmers. And unlike mass-produced bourbons, each barrel of Revelton's single barrel bourbon is unique, proofed on when it tastes best. As they like to say, it'll be ready when it's ready. And to ensure the highest standards of quality and flavor, owners Rob and Christy Taylor oversee the production and bottling. Every single barrel. Iowa born, Iowa aged, Iowa bottled. Try the new single barrel bourbon from Iowa's own Revelton Distillery. ReveltonDistillery.com. Whether you're buying, selling, or refinancing your home, or if it's simply time to renovate the one you're already living in, you need an experienced mortgage professional to help you analyze your financing options and to make sure the closing goes smoothly. And that's exactly what you get when you call Kyle Lehman at Wintrust Mortgage. Kyle's experience and expertise, coupled with Wintrust's rates and programs, ensures you'll get the mortgage that's right for you. You may even qualify for down payment assistance. Before you reach out to a realtor, call Kyle and get pre-qualified, empowering you to start shopping for the home of your dreams. Call Kyle at 515-473-0546. Kyle Lehman, Wintrust Mortgage, 515-473-0546. In 2023, a crack Green Beret named Dan Douglas retired his military command and promptly escaped to a full-time career in real estate. Today, this man is wanted by home buyers and sellers who want to survive the process without spending a fortune. If you have a home to sell or want to buy one, maybe you can hire Dan Douglas at Green Beret Realty. You can find him at greenberetrealty.com. greenberetrealty.com.
All right, welcome back in, and it's time to talk a little hoops. The women's team won the Cyhawk. I think we kind of covered that last week after they won the Cyhawk leading into the men's Cyhawk game, so that's a feather in the cap there for Jane Jensen and the crew. Tough loss against the Michigan State Spartans, who did not realize before the game tipped off we're undefeated. That's a good little team there. Michigan State has a team brewing. Did not expect that preseason. Did not know anything about Michigan State women's basketball. I'm going to have to pay attention now, I guess.
Yeah. Undefeated, number 17 in the country going into that game.
Yeah.
I mean, That's crazy. I don't know what they're ranked in the AP when it came out this week, but
I haven't checked back in on it.
and I will not check back in with Michigan State women's basketball the rest of the season.
Yeah, unless we play them in Carver. I can't remember if they're one of the teams that we get
God,
twice.
there's so many teams in the conference now. I don't know who we double dip anymore.
I don't think we double dip on Michigan State. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Tough one though, Drew. Tough one.
I mean, I watched most of that game. I watched most of the Cy-Hawk game for the women, and the same thing rings true with this edition of the 2024-25 women Hawkeye basketball team. Turnovers, man. I mean, what was it? 23, I believe, in this particular contest.
Yeah.
On the road. And they just have a problem closing games. Like the Tennessee game was like the first time it poked its head out. And that was 31-32 turnovers. So, I mean, that's even
that was like 35 turnovers.
Yeah, it might have been more than that. Yeah. It was a stupid amount of turnovers. And I mean, we saw that with the Caitlin Clark era too, but not in that volume.
No.
Not in that volume. Like maybe in the mid teens, you know.
Right. We were blessed with the turnovers.
But she had the killer instinct. That squad had the killer instinct to perform in crunch time. This team doesn't have a crunch time I don't know, DNA yet, I guess. And I don't know if I don't necessarily know if they're going to. I still think they're a good basketball team. They're still a tournament team. They're still probably, I don't know, are they still ranked? Or did they fall out?
I don't know.
Actually, I think they dropped one or two. I think they're still in at 22 or 23.
I don't think they should probably drop out for losing to the number 17 team on the road by 2 points. Probably
no, they shouldn't. But I mean, they had that game won too. You know, like
right.
They had the Tennessee game won. They had that game won, and say both of those go the Hawkeyes' way. I mean, you're talking about a top 10 team,
right? But like you said, there's issues that I think they got to figure out. I want to talk about the turnovers because both Tennessee and Michigan State play full court press. And that's where the bulk of the turnovers came, right? Off of that full court press for both of those teams. So I was going to have to figure that out because I like Illinois, for example, loves to do that. And Penn State loves to do that. I'm not sure if there's any other teams on Iowa's schedule that love to do that. Maybe not, but there's at least a couple of teams that do. And Iowa's going to struggle against those kinds of teams because they haven't figured out their press break offense. It's simple because they keep having Stolke inbound the ball in those full court situations. The simple change that I would personally make here, and I'm not coaching the Iowa women's basketball team, and there's probably a good reason for that. But the simple change that I would make is I'd have Lucy Olson take it out because she's our best inbounds passer. And then also she can inbound it to Feuerbach or another guard. I think Taylor Stremlo needs to be in the starting lineup. I think I've said this before. I think
in lieu of who?
Who's currently starting. So this is another point. Stolke's got to play the 5. We've been trying to put Stolke at the 4, and I don't think it's working. I think Stolke has to play the 5. All the metrics say that Stolke at the 5 is our best lineup. We got to play it that way.
And she was shooting threes down the stretch in that game? Like what?
No, not her game.
No. And I said this last because like her putting the ball on the floor is one thing. Her shooting threes? What are we doing?
Never going to be her game. Her thing is she's a little bit undersized for a 5 in some scenarios. But she's got the speed that kind of makes up for that and the hustle and the physicality that makes up for that.
I just don't think you have to put everything in a box. I don't think you have to put everything in black and white, game in and game out. I mean, I think you scout your opponent, and I think you don't always have to play her at the 5. Play her at the 5 when it's advantageous to you in a fast break game, in a when she actually is oversizing the opponent. Where she's the most athletic person on the court, really, because she really is. Now, ball in her hand, that's a different story. Ball handling, different story. Shooting, different story. But I truly feel she's the best athlete on the court for the Hawkeyes.
To answer your question, who should Taylor Strumlow start over? The answer is O'Grady.
She's kind of had her 15 seconds of fame. You think she's had her good run, and that's
yeah. Loki at the 5, Fulter at the 4, Feuerbach at the 3, Stremlow at the 2. Stremlow and Feuerbach are interchangeable there at the 2 and 3 in my mind. And then Lucy Olson as our point guard. And then your press break offense is simple. You inbound it to Feuerbach or Stremlow against those man-to-man presses. They swing it back to Lucy Olson eventually if the double team comes, and inevitably it does. And then everybody clears the heck out, and Lucy Olson just dribbles it up the court. That's how it should work. And Iowa did kind of figure that out later. But what was happening was we were swinging the ball back to Stolke after she inbounded it, and then Stolke's trying to dribble in the backcourt. Not gonna end well for Iowa most times.
I'm going to have an unpopular opinion, Andrew, so buckle up.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I don't think Lucy Olson is all that in a bag of potato chips. I don't. And I understand, like, I understand the thing is, well, now you're trying to replace Caitlin Clark, and that's never going to happen. Everybody's already said that, not going to happen, replace Caitlin Clark. It's just not going to happen. But, like, even the expectations coming in from Villanova and the seasons that she put up there, then coming to Iowa City, and what is she averaging? 16 and a half?
Yeah, I got to look it up. I don't have it right in front of me here.
That's okay. I'm just saying, from what I've seen, and very limited now that we're not in the Big Ten season, game in and a game out yet, and when we are, I'll be more locked in. But the games I've seen, Tennessee, Iowa State, Michigan State, I guess I just didn't see what we're writing home about.
18 points per game, 5 assists per game, shooting 45% from the field, 80% from 3, 25% from 3. That's got to come up. But I think it's not exactly on par with her junior year at Villanova, but she's also shooting less shots because Iowa does have other offensive options. When she was at Villanova, she was the only offensive option. All of her advanced metrics, like her player efficiency rating, her effective field goal percentage, are all essentially on par with her time at Villanova.
Okay.
So I think she's fine. I don't think she's your be-all, end-all. I don't think that this team has that one singular stud player. But I think the whole is greater than the sum of its parts eventually here. She is our best ball handler, though. I'll say that. I mean, I don't think she's a true point guard, but she is the one that has the most point guard-like skills, and Stremlow is a close second.
Yeah, I mean, if we're saying she's the point guard, I mean, we're probably going to need more than 5 assists.
Yeah, I wouldn't judge a point guard just solely on their assists alone. I think some of that is
shot making on the other end.
Shot making on the other end, which is something that this Iowa team struggles with too, because we don't have the 3-point snipers that we've had in past years. So it's a different ball game for this Iowa women's team all the way around.
You know what I think?
I'm just simply trying to.
I think the best pure shooter on the team, another maybe unpopular opinion, is McCabe.
It is. She is the best pure shooter on the team. The issue with
Can we find some minutes?
Well, the issue with that is that she can't guard anybody.
Neither could Caitlin Clark.
But Caitlin Clark brought so many other things to the table.
I get it.
Taylor McCabe can shoot, and that's her one thing.
I'm just saying we got to carve out like 16, 17 minutes, man. We got to do something. Like,
no, I think it's hopefully Aaliyah Guyton kind of gets more healthy as the season progresses, and we play more Guyton minutes.
I mean, the
Because
dagger she put into Iowa State was electric.
Guyton is a decent 3-point shooter, actually, and I said Stremlo had the second best point guard skills. The person that actually has the best point guard skills is Aaliyah Guyton. The problem is that she didn't start the season healthy and is still not 100% coming off of that ACL tear that she suffered in high school. It's kind of like Josh Dix. We saw freshman year Josh Dix, and then sophomore year Josh Dix took a step, and now junior year Josh Dix took another step.
Yep.
It's because he got farther removed from a bad high school injury.
Sure.
We're going to see the same thing with Aaliyah Guyton.
Okay.
Probably as the season goes on, but then for sure next year she's going to be our starting point guard, and we're going to feel great about it.
I love your optimism, and I'm gonna bank on that because I like to play devil's advocate, and I like to see the sky falling type scenarios. So I'm trying to be a realist. I think what actually happens is probably somewhere in between our opinions.
Yeah, probably, but I think there is a fix to the turnovers, which would solve at least one of the issues.
I mean that's one thing you can control, right? I mean,
it's a control. Yeah, it's one of the controllable things that this Iowa women's team can for sure fix. And
yeah,
I think Jan will look at it and hopefully fix it. But then the other thing is lean into the metrics that say your best lineups involve Stokey at the 5, Lucy Olson, and Taylor Stremlo. Those are all your best lineups involve those 3 players. There's a reason for that. Those are your 3 winningest players. And then you probably throw a Fulter in there as the 4th, and then whoever you want to be the 5th. It can sometimes be Guyton. It can sometimes be Feuerbach. It can sometimes be McCabe or Tegan Maligney, whatever makes sense, right? Or you need to bring in O'Grady for that size or Hayden for that size.
Yeah.
Stokey at the 5, best lineup. So got to do it.
Yep.
I think. In order to get some wins. Big game against UNI coming up this weekend, a UNI team that beat Iowa State at home. And
it turns out that Iowa State wasn't the team everybody thought they were.
Yeah, I think there's some of that, but this isn't a game to take lightly necessarily.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying bank it by any means.
No.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought they would be. I'm looking up UNI because, all due respect to them, I don't know enough about UNI women's basketball. I think they have a 3-point sniper on their team that hit like 10 threes in a game or something this year.
Well, shit.
Something wild like that. So we're going to have to be very aware of that. I do think that the Iowa women are going to win this game against UNI on Sunday.
Is it in the McLeod Center or is it in Carver?
Yeah, it's in the McLeod Center.
Oh, okay.
It's on, So Maya McDermott is their leading scorer, 22 points per game and 5 assists per game. Kaba Laub is their second leading scorer, and I think that's who had the 10 threes in one game this year. I'm trying to look at the game logs here just to figure it out. Yes, against the Pittsburgh Panthers, she went 10 for 15 from 3.
That's incredible.
So we're gonna need Feuerbach or Stremlo or someone like that. Those are probably our best perimeter defenders, I would say.
Yeah.
To be cognizant of her. I think We're going to get Lucy Olson versus Maya McDermott, too. I'm okay with that. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting matchup. I think UNI has really good guard play. So
when do they play?
Sunday at what time? Like 1 p.m. in the afternoon, I want to say.
Okay.
Nope, completely off. It is not even close to Sunday. It is Friday night.
Okay, tomorrow.
It is tomorrow night at 7:30 on Big Ten Plus. I'm completely on the wrong day. I'm way off my game.
That's okay, but that's okay, buddy.
But yeah, and it is in Carver. I'm way off, Drew. I'm way off here.
Listen, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay. So I suddenly feel a little bit better about this game, being that it's in Carver. It's tomorrow night. We'll see. I'll pick Iowa to win. I think it'll be something like 85-73.
If we put up 85 points tomorrow, I would be happy. That would be pretty big.
Yeah.
If you want a prediction, I'll say 81-71.
Gotcha. 81-71. That's good. The men's team is playing in the Sanford Pentagon on Saturday night at 6 p.m. They're playing Utah, the team that ended their season in the NIT last year. Some guys back from that Utah team, but not too many. The main one being Gabe Matson, who is a good shooter, averaging 20 points per game. And his brother, Mason Matson, is on the team as well. So you got to look out for the Matson brothers. Those are essentially the leaders of this Utah team. They also have Ezra Asar, 6'9", 240-pound forward. And then they bring in Lawson Lovering off the bench, who averages 11 points and 7 foot, 220. So they're not the biggest team. They do have some size that Iowa's going to have to contend with here, but Drew, this is kind of a must-win game for the Iowa men's team. They can't lose a game like this on a neutral court to a team like Utah because of where Utah is in the net rankings. This would be a quad 2 loss, and they can't afford one of those in the non-conference.
Sure.
So they got to get a good and they just need it from a momentum standpoint too. So this is a huge game for the Iowa men.
Do you know why they continue to go to the Sanford Pentagon? I'm just curious as to why they continue to go to Sioux Falls.
I think we kind of started it when we played Gonzaga that one year in 2020, and I think the team just likes it. I think Fran likes it. It's a historical place, and we have actually a big base of fans in that area.
The women played there for the first time this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was that the Kansas State game?
Kansas.
Just
Kansas.
Kansas. That's right.
Yeah.
Kansas. Yep.
So we have a big base up there in Sioux Falls / Sioux City, that area. I think it's just a chance to play a non-conference game on a neutral court, but it's not really a neutral court because it's 80% Iowa fans at the very least.
Sure.
So
from what I understand, I've never been, but I guess the venue is really cool.
It
looks cool on TV. That's all I know. I've never been. I've wanted to go. Just haven't had the opportunity.
It has some history to it there. The Sanford Pentagon does, and I really am a sucker for the parquet floors.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm talking about.
The old '90s Dr. Tom Davis Hawkeye teams, Ricky Davis, and all that. Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, and like the old Boston Celtics arena had parquet in it too. awesome.
Dude, you're 100% right. I love that look too, for sure.
Yeah. So I think we kind of just started it with the Gonzaga thing and said, let's keep playing there. There was some other non-conference game that I watched that didn't involve Iowa that was there that was pretty big. I can't remember what it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, they have been getting a lot of non-Iowa games up there too. Yeah, it's been pretty interesting. It might have been, I don't know, it might have been like a Big 12, Pac-12 matchup of some sort. Maybe like, I don't know, Oklahoma, USC or something at the time. I don't remember. It was something like that. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Basketball is meant to be played in smaller arenas. That's my take, is that basketball is not meant to be played in 15,000 seat arenas. It's meant to be played in 7, 8, 9,000 max seat arenas.
Cameron Indoor.
Yes. And that's another thing about the Pentagon, is that a lot of those seats are close to the court. You don't have space underneath the baskets like you do at Carver. That annoys the crap out of me.
They call that environment intimate. Intimate setting.
Yes.
I call it hostile if you're on the road, but
yeah, it's like the old Vets Auditorium here in Des Moines, where the bleachers were basically where the students were right on the court.
Oh yeah,
that place was nuts during the state tournament because that was great.
Like weren't there even like pep bands on risers, like old like high school and middle school chorus?
Yes, it was on risers. It was perfect.
It was wild.
It was awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Sanford Pentagon is just like that. But big game. Sounds like Seydou Traore is going to be out because he hurt himself
again.
I don't know. Cooper Koch might have to play a bigger role in this one. We didn't talk about the Iowa State men's game. Man,
one that got away. Another team that couldn't finish.
Iowa State is really good, but Iowa played so well in that game.
They led for 37 minutes, Andrew, and they lost by 9.
Yeah, and there was some momentum-changing plays that happened that I wasn't a fan of. There was a backcourt on Lipsey and Iowa State, and
that was bullshit.
All this kind of BS that happened too that completely changed the game.
I 100% agree with you that the referees gave him 5 straight points. That was bullshit.
6.
Was it 6? Was it 6?
Okay. Yeah. 2 separate occasions, 2 threes. Iowa State's great. I'm not trying to say, Iowa. I mean, I guess I am kind of in a way trying to say Iowa deserved to win the game. But I think that game says a lot about Iowa, that a team like Iowa State, who I firmly believe is going to be in national championship contention, which sucks for us. Because, well, me personally, I don't know if you root for them at all, but I don't.
You know what? When I move to Kansas City, Andrew, I'm definitely probably going to get Big 12 tournament tickets just to be down in the power and light.
All right. Well, root for our favorite team, which is every one of the Big 12 teams that plays Iowa State. Anyways, but I think that to me kind of proved that this team can hang with teams that are legit. I loved the move of putting Thelwell in the starting lineup, which you and I didn't see coming. Neither did Iowa State, and it worked out well.
That's my guy.
Yeah, I loved it. But we need to see that kind of effort all season from this men's team. If they play with that kind of effort against Utah, they're going to blow Utah out.
Right.
They're going to blow them out. But I think this will be a little bit of a tighter ball game maybe than it should be. But I still think that the Iowa men are going to get the win. And I think Harding and Thelwell are going to be a huge part of that. So give me – and Iowa just we seem to, if we need it in the Pentagon, other than the time we played Gonzaga, I think we've won every game in the Pentagon. The men's team has, right? I can't remember a loss in the Pentagon.
And even when we lost to Gonzaga, we still put up 85, I think.
Yeah, the
game was still in question at the Final Four timeout against Gonzaga. I remember that, and Gonzaga just kind of pulled away, won by like, I don't know, a dozen or 15 or something like that. But I know
Right.
Iowa put up points against Gonzaga.
Yeah, I'm looking up that game right now, right as we speak.
Watch it be like 97-62. I was wrong or some shit, but I could have swore.
It was 99-88, so we lost by 11 points, but
I was pretty close. I was pretty close.
We were playing the foul game. And chucking up threes at the end. Luka Garza dropped 30 and 10 that day. Joe Wieskamp had 20. Joe Toussaint had 14 off the bench. Nunch had 10 off the bench. The bigger thing is we didn't get anything out of Bohannon or Connor. So that was rough. We had Keegan Murray on that team, and he wasn't quite the Keegan Murray that became a high draft pick.
No.
So, and Chris Murray hadn't really emerged yet at that point in the season either. So as that season went on, Keegan and Chris played more, and it got better.
Right.
So,
it turns out when you play more, you get better.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a hell of a concept, really.
Yeah. But anyways, this current Iowa team, I really like the way Brock Harding has been playing recently. I think we talked about it last week. I love the way that Drew Thelwell plays also. We need to – Josh Dix has been very consistent too. I think we got to get a good Peyton Sandfort game in the Sandford Pentagon. It's the Sandfort Pentagon after this week. They're going to have to rename it after Peyton and Price light it up, hopefully.
He needs to, because I'm down on him, and I have been. Just chucking up the shit that he chucked up at the end of the game last against Iowa State. Didn't care for it. Forced shots. Still shooting like, I don't know, barely 30% from three. With good looks too is the problem, Andrew. It's not like, he's been wide open on some of these shots and just not knocking them down. There's something going on, man, and I don't like it. Right. I like him personally, but something's going on, and hopefully it gets resolved before the rest of the Big Ten season.
Yeah. I'm with you there. Someone that I was reading, I can't remember where I read this. If it's you, I'm sorry that I plagiarized you and didn't credit you.
That's okay.
But made the point that last year, right, we really needed Sandfort to force some stuff because we didn't have a ton of other options.
Sure.
Offensively. I think this current team has way more options offensively on the perimeter, and whereas we don't maybe necessarily need Peyton Sandfort to chuck, and I think that's kind of needs to be explained to him somehow, which that's a tough conversation to have with your senior leader who came back and everything. But we've got great options on the perimeter with both of our guards that we've talked about, Brock Harding and Thelwell, but Josh Dix has proven that he can be the guy and step up in big moments. And I think Owen Freeman offensively down low has shown a lot of good stuff too.
He needs to get going as well.
Yeah, there's some conditioning issues there, I think, with Owen Freeman. We need to get him going on the defensive end.
Yeah.
The boards. I really expected a lot more from him defensively coming into the season, and we're going to need him to be big defensively, and not only in this game against Utah, but upcoming. So in the Big Ten season, we're going to need him big time.
Yep.
So, yeah, you can't have your almost 7-foot center coming up with like 4 or 5 rebounds a game. It's not gonna cut it.
Oh, and he can't be playing 22 to 24 minutes either because he's in foul trouble in the first half.
Yeah. I liked another thing that I liked about Thelwell going to the starting lineup and not coming off the bench was Dembele off the bench as the 5 was good against Iowa State.
He was really good. I even said that to you in a chat.
Yeah.
Don't take Dembele out.
And some guys are just more comfortable coming off the bench, and I wonder if he's just one of those guys that just has a better role and a better fit just coming off the bench. And so I like that. I don't know if Fran's going to stick with Thelwell in the starting lineup, but I hope he does. The tough thing about that is you got to alternate the minutes between Harding and Thelwell because you can't have those guys playing 40 minutes a game, right? So that's not sustainable. And that's kind of what happened was those guys were used to more alternating minutes and they played heavier minutes and then were kind of tired down the stretch against Iowa State.
Yeah.
But not every opponent is Iowa State. So
no, they're not.
Yeah, so it can probably work out better if they play that way, play those heavier minutes against Utah. I think it's going to work out better because Utah doesn't put the pressure on you that Iowa State does.
Sure.
So, yeah, I will take the Hawks to win. Like I think I said, women's game, I said 85-73 every you and I will say something like, I think we're going to put up 90 against Utah. I think this is going to be like a 90-77 kind of game where it's not really that close. The game's not really in doubt at the end there.
I'm going to stick with 81 for the men. I'm going to go 81-65.
Okay.
I'm with you on the no doubter. Just kind of the neutral court scenario, non-conference game. Still a Power 4 opponent. Not necessarily seeing 90 plus fireworks, I guess, from this team.
I would normally say that, but we're very familiar with this. We have some guys on our team who have played here.
That's true.
Some guys who haven't, and this is basically a home court game for Iowa now because we've been here so many times.
Okay.
If it was some neutral court venue,
I can buy that.
Yeah, it's just like we know this place. This is like a second home to us in the non-conference.
Sure. No, I can buy that.
So, that's it. That's all I've got for this week. What do you have in Iowa Hawkeye World that's going on that I forgot or that we should mention?
I haven't been following wrestling this week, so I don't know.
They did get some sort of a big commitment from somebody, but I can't even remember the kid's name, so I'm not going to try.
This last week has been a shit show. Literally. Get it? Shit show. Let's go.
Darn it. That was great. Christmas. You got big Christmas plans?
I'm driving to Kansas to the new house that we've signed a lease for and are renting in Overland Park on Sunday, and then taking possession on Monday. And got to do an inspection and whatnot, and annotate any discrepancies, stuff that's going on in the place. So it's annotated before we take possession. And then I'm flying back to Maryland from Kansas City on the 24th, Christmas Eve. And then Christmas is just here at home in Maryland before we then pack up our U-Haul. And on New Year's Day, we're actually moving New Year's Day. So,
holy cow, man.
Yeah. So I get to make that cross-country trip twice, once in my car and then once in the U-Haul. So I'm not looking forward to that, but I'll look forward to it when it's over.
Yes, I can believe that.
Come back to the land of Hy-Vees and Casey's. Pretty excited about that. Kansas City barbecue to boot. I'm pretty pumped, actually.
Yeah, there you go. You got
Yeah.
a lot of good things about coming home to the Midwest.
For sure.
If you could get one thing for Hawkeye Christmas for any of the sports, what would you want?
Man, I feel like you asked me this last year.
Yep, I'm bringing it back because it's got to be our annual tradition now.
And didn't I say competent OC last year?
Competent OC and offense because we hadn't hired Lester at that point.
I think I said that last year.
Yep.
So
and we got it. We got it. Your Christmas wish came true.
That's true. We need to review those later on. You know what I mean? Like we need to.
Yeah, I made the mistake of not writing it down. Maybe I'll write it down real quick.
We need to pin these. Maybe we cut it up for social media. Play it later.
Yeah, there you go.
What do I want? Hawkeye Christmas. Let's see. Darn, man. You know what? I'll take a bowl win.
Oh. Okay.
I'll take a bowl win. I know it's an exhibition, and I know all this, that, the other. I mean, quality opponent. SEC, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Lane Kiffin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck Lane Kiffin. So I
really Eli Drinkwitz because we're playing Missouri.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, Eli Drinkwitz. That's right. Missouri. Yeah, the most overrated college football team of the entire season.
Don't worry, we can get one over on Lane Kiffin when we get Beau Pribula, and he does not.
There we go.
That's how we're going to screw Lane Kiffin in the offseason.
I'll take a bowl win to make up for the missed bowl in 2020 where they bitched out.
Yes, perfect. Love that. I'm also going to focus on the postseason with my Christmas wish, but I'm going to go to men's basketball.
Okay.
And say my Christmas wish is for Iowa men's basketball to make the Sweet 16.
Oh man, that's a long-term play.
There it is. Hope it comes true.
I wonder if that's out on the futures on DraftKings or FanDuel or something. I wonder if Sweet 16 is out there.
Long shot odds if it is for Iowa specifically.
Yeah.
Long shot odds. But
hey, shout out to Drake. How about that?
Oh, dude.
Shout out to Drake.
That was great. Speaking of, that's what's going down Sunday that was in my mind. Drake has a home game against Wisconsin Green Bay, Doug Gottlieb. Gottlieb will be in Des Moines after everything that's gone down in the news.
He was talking shit about like schools he was playing.
Michigan Tech, D2 school. He called them Nobody U and then proceeded to lose to him at home.
I just heard that this morning.
He got into a Twitter scuffle with Adam Schefter this week.
That's right.
Where Adam Schefter told him more time in the gym and less time on Twitter.
Yep.
Adam Schefter was right. He had a point.
Oh,
yeah. Shout out to the Drake Bulldogs being 10-0.
Three Power 5 wins on their non-con.
And their non-con is essentially done now. I think Wisconsin Green Bay is non-con. And then they're into conference play, and
could they go undefeated in the Valley?
That's what I'm saying. Is they could go undefeated in the Valley. Now they probably won't. They probably will lose to someone. But
if they don't,
but it could be like that 2008. You remember the year 2008 when they started off so well with that undefeated and then ended up being a 5 seed?
Actually just earning it outright, yeah.
Yeah, this is an entirely possible scenario for this year's Drake Bulldogs.
Shout out.
Yeah, love the D2 Dogs, man.
That's great.
Sean Roberts right there with the D2 Dogs.
Des Moines hometown team.
I've said it on this show before, and I'll say it again. When Fran hangs it up, I hope Ben McCollum's available. Because that would be the greatest Fran replacement of all time. But I digress.
It's got to be sooner than later. Maybe that should have been my fucking Christmas wish.
Maybe.
That's okay.
But anyways, we will be back not next week, the week after. So Christmas, New Year's will all happen before you see us again.
I'll be in Kansas City, baby.
Yeah, that'll be great. So enjoy your holidays, everybody. We love you. Thank you for listening to the show. As always, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And then, as always, go Hawks.
Go Hawks, baby.